Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, let's talk about your snare. In modern productions, one of the most criticized things is the sound and tone of your snare drum. Does it fit the song or does it, not really help the song? Well, thanks to Sam Pura and Purified Audio, we have a solution that can fit into any song in any key. This is the Liquid Death Snare. So let's dive into the DAW. So the Liquid Death Snare is an instrument. It's not a plugin. So you do need to feed MIDI into this. And it's just 3 notes, D1, E1, and F1 to do either your rim shots, your flams, or multiple velocities. So you can actually have dynamics in this instrument. Then up on the top left is your snare tuning. You have 2 octaves of chromatic notes for this snare drum. Right now I have it set to D sharp. And if I click on the snare drum, we get the D sharp tuned snare. But watch this. I'm going to change the tuning and bring this all the way up to, let's say, A sharp. Now I've gone a 5th up. Take a listen to this. And I very quickly just went back so you could hear both the D sharp and the A sharp. It's a tuned drum. And a lot of people don't think that you actually have to lock your drums into the song, but this plays so much into emphasizing the song because then they're not getting some weird dissonant notes because now your drums are locked into tune with everybody else. Aside from changing the tuning and getting an example by hitting on the snare drum in the center, you can also blend in multiple microphones that were also captured during all of the sampling process to create this plugin. So you have your top mic, your bottom mic, your shell mic, which is something that usually is pointed at the side of the snare drum or maybe across the top, not directly at it. Then they also have a U47. They have the overheads, which right now I just have all the way down. They have close room mics and far room mics. And if you've ever checked out Panda Sound Studios, you know that they have a really nice drum room. And actually, Sam has what he calls the drumbrella. The drumbrella is actually a movable, almost dampener that he has suspended from the ceiling. And it's a bunch of panels to help tighten or open up the sound of the drums and the sound of the room within the microphones. So it either squishes down and makes the room a little bit smaller or opens up and expands the room. Then like with other instrument or MIDI instrument plugins, you can change your outputs. So everything is by default going to just the stereo left, right, out. But you can also break this out to multiple outputs so that you can do your blend of the different microphones inside your DAW if you want to. Okay, there's 2 other controls that we haven't really gone over, and that's the master output. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Set your output level. You can also flip the polarity of the entire plugin, and you can flip the polarity of just the other microphones as well so that it locks into your snare drum in your production. And then on the left is the one shot. This is, instead of it using multiple samples, which is the default, that you get different sounds because whenever you play a snare drum, it doesn't always sound exactly the same every single time. But if you need that consistency, just hit one shot. And then the plugin, or the instrument, I should say, will only use one sample that sounds exactly the same every single time. But if you have this off, they have lots of samples of all of the drums and all of the tunings, so you can get variation and a human-like playing style with one shot off because, like I said, we as humans, when we're playing drums, we're not going to hit it exactly the same every single time. All right, that's all the controls. Now let's do the important thing of hear how this sounds. I have all of my drums soloed. You can see that right here. And right here, and I'll just change the color of it real quick. Here's our Liquid Death Snare. So I'm gonna open it up again so you can see it happening. And I just have a small section of this song. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mute the Liquid Death Snare so you can hear the original snare that's in here, which I believe was programmed, but don't quote me on that. And then I'm going to bring in the Liquid Death Snare, and I'll just ride it up and we'll blend it in. So with Liquid Death Snare in, and especially with the tuning that I have it at currently, not only is it locked in with the song, and I understand you didn't hear the whole song, trust me, but we're getting a ton of body. But if we don't want our direct mics, what we can do is we can go into the presets, and Sam has provided some really great presets for us. If we want just some stereo ambience to our snare, or maybe even mono ambience, let's pull this open and we'll just go back to our tuning, because that's part of the presets. And now we just have the shell and the U47 giving us a little bit of ambience. All right, well, that was mono. I want stereo now. I want this snare to wrap around me. So I'm going to go back into the presets and let's go to Sam's stereo ambience. And now you can see it's just the overheads, close room mics, and far room mics. And like we were saying before, we can go in, and I didn't even remember to turn the tuning back, but I was just getting some ambience at this point. But we don't have to do just that. We can now blend in our additional microphones to get more of a direct sound. So we want the top because we want the attack. We want the bottom so we can get some of the snap. Let's go with some of the shell and maybe a bit more of the U47. As you can see, lots of flexibilities in just one drum, but probably one of the most important drums in your entire production. If you want to pick up your copy of the Liquid Death Snare, use the link down in the description. At the filming of this video, this is free, but it may not be free forever. So jump on it now and pick this up and level up your snare game. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. To join the community, or you have a question about mixing or lessons, join the Discord. There's a link down in the description. And if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.